Once you find yourself in conflict with a narcissist, it's a virtual guarantee they're going to start playing head games with you. That's why I put together a new course. It's very extensive called Anger Games. I'm going to teach you how to manage anger and conflict with a narcissist. There's a link below that's going to show you how to register, and I hope that you find it to be very insightful. The more familiar you become with the whole pattern of narcissism, it can beg the question, do these people all operate from the same playbook? And the answer is pretty much, yeah, they really kind of do. They can be very predictable. Now, sure enough, individuals can come toward you and they can have a very different temperament type, or they can have different family experiences that they're drawing upon, or cultural influences, or lifestyle practices that they've engaged in and aren't the same as yours, or educational background. I mean, they bring all sorts of uniqueness with respect to that. And yet, despite many of the strong distinctions that they may have from one another and from you, they can still be highly predictable. And that's a very important realization for you to hold on to. You see, one of the things that narcissists want to do is they want to make sure that you understand that you're the problem. They would have no issues if it weren't for you. And that's simply not the case. Narcissism is itself a very troubled philosophy of life or pattern of life. And they want to push their beliefs and ideas and patterns onto you. And at the top of the list of things that they will do is they want to make sure that you understand you're supposed to be in the subordinate position. They're thinking, I must have the upper hand over you. I have to have that upper hand. And I'm hoping you can see that they're in a very strong compensation mode when they think that way. They're compensating for their own deep fears and insecurities, etc. But as they do so, I want to see if I can point out to you 12 of the most common predictable strategies that they'll use. And I'm going to go ahead and make, speaking of predictable, I'm going to make a prediction. As I go through these 12, I'm going to bet that a very high percentage of you can say, well, the person that I'm dealing with checks off at least 10 of them. Because once you get into one or two of these patterns that I'm going to tell you about, it just tends to spill over into the next and then the next and the next. Let's see if we can get into that. Now, the first thing we're going to say, number one, as far as the strategies that narcissists do to keep you in a subordinate position, is that the narcissist will proclaim oneself as the keeper of truth. And by that I mean they have declared within themselves and therefore to you that their opinion is the one that matters. Their guiding beliefs are the ones that matters. What they say is right is what is right. And as far as you're concerned, you need to go along with them. And if you disagree with them, it's like you didn't remember rule number one. I am the keeper of truth. Which then leads to strategy number two that they use in their playbook, and that is they'll minimize your influence. When you have something to say, or it's like, well, I have an idea that we might want to consider, they're going to let you know. We don't need to hear from you. Whatever it is you bring, you may think it has merit, but it doesn't. You don't have merit. Number three, as far as their playbook that keeps you in a subordinate position, is that they will strongly invalidate your interpretations or your unique ideas. And when they do, they're going to be stubbornly forceful in the way that they do it. They're going to let you know, I thought I told you, shut up. Quit it. You're wrong. You don't make any sense. And so not only do they not want to hear from you, when they do hear from you, they're going to remind you, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have a clue about life. You don't know me. You don't know yourself. You don't know how to deal with things. Just go away and be quiet. And let me be in charge. Number four, as part of their keeping you in a subordinate position, I shake my head because this is a crazy maker. They won't admit their own failures. You see, they're afraid to say, well, maybe I have some problems too. So instead, they refuse to admit their failures or their problems, and they'll remind you if there are problems in our relationship, well, I guess that means it must be you that caused it all, and so they put it on with there. which leads to point number 5. Part of their strategy of keeping you subordinate to them is they'll blame you and accuse and be condescending in the way that they engage with you. And it's persistent. It's like, I can't do anything that's going to please this person. And their message over time is going to be, right, you sure do things that don't please me, and it's my job to remind you of how displeasing you are. And so they use all these tactics to keep you in that down position. They want to wear out your sense of resolve. Number 6, they'll provoke you to anger, and then they'll shame you for feeling angry. How many times does that happen with you? They may goad you, and they can criticize you, and they can remind you of how difficult you are, and they can just let you know that you're just such a miserable presence in your life. And then finally, when you have a reactive response and you blow up and you just start letting it be known, I can't stand the way you're treating me, then they can point toward you and say, look at how unstable you are. And that's their way of trying to keep you in the negative or down position. Of course, they don't acknowledge, well, actually, I'm pulling you into my ditch, but they don't quite see it that way. Now, number 7, and this is an interesting one. Narcissists, in keeping you down, will call bad good, and they'll call good bad. Ever had that happen to you? Now, what I mean is this. Let's go back to that thing about anger. They can say, well, my anger is good. It's necessary. Your anger is bad. It's disruptive. Or they may say something like, my money habits are good. Your money habits are bad. My friends are good. Your friends are bad. They'll call bad good and good bad, and it's their way of reminding you there are a whole lot of double standards in that relationship. And oh, by the way, it tends to be accompanied with a lot of gaslighting. They want to keep you in a doubtful kind of position. Number 8, as far as them keeping you subordinate, is they'll turn their moral compass on or off depending upon their own immediate circumstances. Sometimes they can come across in a super self-righteous way. It's like, well, I just wish that you could be as good as me and have such a wonderful outlook on life as I do. Because keep in mind, I know everything that's right. And so they will try to force you into their, quote, morality. But then when the moral code doesn't quite fit what they want, it's like, well, let's just kind of leave that alone. For example, in the way that they, or the people they engage with, or the entertainment they have, or how they conduct themselves, who knows what. But morality just comes and goes based on what they need it to be in the moment. And of course, they're taking license for their own selfish desires and needs. And when you call them out, keep in mind they're not going to take responsibility. And again, it's just like, well, see, you're just an irresponsible person. Number 9, part of them keeping you insubordinate is they'll tell lies, and they'll keep secrets, and they'll remain evasive. And it's their way of saying, well, there's a reason that I don't tell you everything about my life, and that is you're not capable of managing truth. Now, it could be that they're doing some devious things, or it could be that they're hanging out with unsavory individuals, or it could be that they're sabotaging you behind your back. And so they'll just keep all that stuff secret. And then if you try to call them out on it, it's like, there's a reason I don't tell you stuff, because you just turned it into mumbo jumbo, and I don't like that. I don't have to talk to you about who I am. Number 10, they'll create an atmosphere for dependency. They want you to stay off center in your own personal life. They'll remind you, I'll make the decisions. They want to create a fear atmosphere so that you're afraid to be too different from them. They'll veto your initiatives. And what that does is all the while it can provoke you, at least with their hopefulness, to think, well, I've got to make sure that I filter who I am and what I think through this person over here. And, you're the narcissist is over there thinking, good. You see, you need to defer to me. I want you to stay dependent, and that keeps me in charge. Then, number 11, part of keeping you subordinate, is they'll promote their own positive public image. They'll try to present themselves to other people as being a really nice person, and that way it's like, everybody likes me, which then leads to number 12 in their strategies. They'll sow seeds of doubt publicly about you. They'll remind other individuals of some of the difficulties. They'll say it very, in their own favor, and then they'll come back to you and they'll say, all the other people out there in the public that I talk to, they have the same opinion of you as I do, and so they keep you in that down position. These different strategies that they use are intended to wear down your self-esteem. They want to wear down your sense of resolve. They want to create disruptive reactions from you because that permits them to continue to do what they want to do. And they want to prove to you and to themselves and to anybody who might be watching that you indeed are inept. Now, there's one enormous insight that I hope that you can hold on to as you think through these strategies that I'm talking to you about that the narcissist will use against you. And that is, the reason narcissists approach you this way is they're not capable of managing their own internal confusion. And so in order to survive, they must have a foil, and that would be you. They're in a chronic and a pervasive defensive posture. All of these 12 things that I'm mentioning is part of their displacement. It's part of their own denial. It's part of their projection of their garbage onto you. It's what we call reaction formation. They want to appear to be somebody that's the opposite of what they really are. And then by forcing you into subordination, it allows them to rationalize, well, I'm actually the better person here because look at how awful that individual is. Now, here on Team Healthy, we could approach that person and say, hey, there's an alternative. Why don't we each take responsibility for who we each are? In fact, let's take it a little bit further. Why don't I help you in your strains and difficulties, and you can help me, and we'll create a sense of mutuality. And the narcissist, whether they can articulate this or not, they're thinking, no, I can't do that because you see, that would require humility, that would require honesty, that would require self-reflection, that would require equality. I don't do those things. And I'm hoping as you realize that, you can think to yourself, it's good for me to know that. And as you continue in your efforts, your strategies to keep me in that subordinate position, I refuse to play that role that you're trying to assign to me. I'm on Team Healthy. I stand for dignity, respect, and civility. I hope these videos like this can give you some good awareness of what you're dealing with. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so. We'll keep more videos coming towards you. There's a notification bell. Hit that too. And as you get into my channel, you'll see there's a videos tab. It has a whole lot of different videos that you can pick up on. That's what they're there for. I hope it's part of your education process. In addition, I know that when you're dealing with things like this, you can think, I could use some assistance trying to sift this out. I've been sponsored for years by the good people at BetterHelp.com. It's a whole large team of licensed professional therapists. You go through the link that we have below this video, and it'll take you to their team, and you have to answer a few questions, and you can select a therapist to work for. It can be so crucial for you to have somebody that can say, let's be objective about this. Let's understand who you are, what you're dealing with, and what your better alternatives are. As the need is there, please get the assistance you would need. Likewise, in my retirement, I put together some online classes, some courses, and each one has at least 25 teaching videos, and each video has handouts, documents that go along with the video with guided questions. We have anger games, which is all about staying out of the traps of anger that they want to put you into. We have This Is Me, about you establishing your boundaries, Free to Be, Ready, Set, Connect, doing the healthy things. And then in addition, on my website, and the links are below the video for those, as well as on my website. In addition, on my website, we have access to my webinars, which are 90-minute presentations. They're very helpful, along with my articles, access to my podcasts, books, etc. Okay, sure enough, narcissists are predictable. They're going to do what I've mentioned to you. It's good for you to know what you're up against so you can stay objective, because they want to suck you into all of their turmoil. We're not going to let that happen. And in doing so, as you develop the objectivity and the decency that goes along with it, I hope that you can go right past where they are and go further and further down your path towards personal peace.